He has the latest sports news, expert analysis, award-winning commentary, and a pocket full of cabbage.
Can you give us an indication why?
Just in case there's a sauerkraut emergency.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Sauerkraut emergency.
Those happen all the time.
It's a sauerkraut emergency, Josh.
You're prepared for it.
All right, welcome back. We're the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Josh wanted to save the last story for last. Is it important that we talk about the story?
I will read you the headline, and
Okay.
then I think we should discuss whether or not we go forward.
Okay.
I think I know the answer, though.
YouTubers, you tell us too.
Drunk man picks fight with a python in the street, and it ends how you'd expect.
Yes, I'd like to go forward.
Don't do it just for me. If you want to, if you don't think it's good, we can skip it. That's fine. It's noon. We haven't talked about the Huskers yet.
Well, we'll talk about the Huskers. We have plenty of time to talk about the Huskers.
Okay.
Why do you talk about the Huskers?
What time do the girls play?
Talk about the Huskers. I wish someone would call in one time and just talk about the guy getting in a fight with the python again. How did I expect it, Josh? I guess I would expect the man to lose the fight to
That's
the python.
correct, Connor.
Okay.
A 6.5 foot long snake. I don't have a location on this story. I'm gonna guess it's nowhere near here.
Crime Town, maybe.
The fire department had to intervene to save the man from the python's killer grip. Authorities said he wasn't able to communicate how he ended up in its clutches as he was too drunk. His pals said he came across the 6.5 foot long snake on his way home from their local pub. See, that's a giveaway that it's not from around here. Pub. Feeling emboldened, the inebriated gentleman decided to tease the large python in front of his friends. Why was there just a python in the street? That's my thing, but whatever.
See, but like, if you were drunk, would you tease a python?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm drunk.
You like little python.
I have no control of my faculties.
You're not going to do anything to be python.
Little gardener snake.
You're doing like the too little thing to him. You're going like, I'm not. Even if I'm drunk, I'm probably like, I'm not going to mess with that python.
Poll question going up at Happer Show. If you were drunk, would you tease a python?
If you're drunk, would you tease a python? But I'm not much of a, I'm not a guy who, I get drunk all of a sudden, I want to start fighting things.
However, the reptile got the better of him and held him in its death grip, forcing his friends to call the fire department.
Sure.
Good job. I wouldn't know who to call. Firefighters arrived on the scene, just north of Hong Kong, before the animal had squeezed the victim to death. Oh, he died. Huh.
Well, this isn't so funny anymore.
Less funny. Usually not funny when the person dies.
Usually Josh doesn't include the story if there's a death.
That's right. They used catch poles to seize the snake and force it to loosen its grip. Footage shows the victim trying to move on the ground as the snake coils himself around the man's body. Firefighters are then seen.
So he's dead.
Yeah. Capturing.
A man has died.
Stuffing a reptile into a sack. Well, he wanted the fight, and the python brought the fight to him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's dead now, though. So, Josh, way to go.
Yeah.
Want me to cheer you up?
I would love to.
The Royals have won 8 out of their last 9 playoff series.
Whoa.
Dating back to the 1985 ALCS. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? They're
I
very good in the playoffs.
They
don't get to the playoffs very much, but when they're I gotta be honest. So this is a good sports debate, actually. We won't talk about the Royals for that long. Although we just did almost a whole hour on them. The team we always offer up these ideas. Would you rather be the team that makes it every year and then gets your heart ripped out, but you're in it every year and you're competitive and you have great summers?
Braves in the 90s.
Or would you rather be the team that usually sucks, but when they're good, they go all the way and they give you just a great month, aka basically the Marlins and maybe the Royals. Those are the only options that we have in this category. The option on the other side is just the Twins.
Breaking news out of Atlanta.
Sans this year.
Chris Sale is not on the wild card roster.
Yeah, I told you, Josh. You seem to be. You seem like, oh, he's going to get the needle and he'll be fine.
I thought they were going to jack him up and be like, okay, you good to go
No,
now
dude.
that meaningless game.
They would have pitched him yesterday.
Nah, they didn't need to waste that bullet.
They would have pitched him yesterday.
No word on who the starter is.
Which team do you want to be the team that is good all the time and never wins, or is bad all the time and wins once every 30 years? At least they win. I got to tell you, and maybe I was just born at the right time.
Do you recommend it?
I kind of do. I kind of think this is a great experience.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm going to complain when they lose 100 games, after this run is over. Maybe there's some. I shouldn't try to trick myself into thinking that they're just going to be around forever because they have Bobby Witt Jr., but they've never signed a player to that long of a contract before, or that big of a contract. So that'll be good. And we'll see how long they're able to extend this run, quote unquote, because of him. But during the times in which they lost, I was still like, yeah, but I had the two best months of my life in October of 2014 and October of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody could tell me nothing during those times. And so we'll see after these 3 games if anybody could tell me anything after today. But I got to tell you, it's a great experience. It's a great experience.
I'd like someone to tell me who's starting for the Braves today.
If you would have asked me in 2019, and the Royals are just, there's no sign of them ever getting out of the hole that they're in, I'd have been like, yeah, this is a miserable experience. They lose every game all the time. They're never going to be good again.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's a different story.
I've seen the Braves win 2 World Series.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not offering you that. I'm offering you the ability to be it's basically the Twins. It's what amounts to the Twins.
I don't want that. That seems miserable.
I agree.
Being a Twins fan.
I agree. They're pretty much good every year, but they never make the playoffs, and their ownership doesn't spend any money.
Yeah,
I
don't want that.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's talk some Husker football. Why don't we, Josh?
Some scars.
Yeah, go talk about the Huskers.
Scars and gars.
All right, Matt Rhule, liar.
Whoa.
Yep. Big liar.
Coming out hot,
Matt
Connor.
Rhule, liar. By the way, did you see? So remember last week when he did his thing on Thursday and he said that John Hull has a big leg? And we're like, you did too many bigs there.
Who are you trying to convince, Matt? Us or you?
So did you see the clip the Nebraska on BTN tweeted out on, it must have been yesterday. And it was a clip from him going into halftime, I think, of the Purdue game. And, he gets kind of emotional like during games and after games. When you get him in those situations, he'll just say some stuff, right? But he goes, yeah, we had some tough calls in the first.
Like he gets stuck in a loop.
But when he says the same word, remember last year when he said, it's painful. So whenever he says a word over and over and over again, we need to make note of it because he's either trying to really drive a point home and he's being sarcastic about it, or he's trying to convince you of something that does not exist. He's lying to you. There's something in there. It's kind of his tell. It's kind of like when Teddy KGB opens up the Oreos, which, by the way, what an obvious tell. How was that not figured out before by Mike McD? Should have been. There's no way that Teddy KGB was doing that for years and years and years, and nobody figured that out until all of a sudden Mike McD got him in the biggest poker game of his life when he was back up against the wall and he was untethered. No way. Josh, why are you not responding to my movie references? This is weird.
Do
you understand them?
I do.
Okay.
I enjoy them, and any other day I'd be right there with you, but I'm desperately seeking a starter for the Atlanta Braves right now.
They're not going to announce it. There's going to be
can't not announce
Yes, you can. There's just going to be a guy out there at the start of the game. Get ready.
It's going to be Bryce Elder or AJ Smith-Shawver.
Those aren't people. Those aren't.
One of them was an all-star last year.
Those aren't people. I like the sticker yesterday. He goes, maybe it'll be Maybe it'll be somebody. Maybe we'll call somebody up from the minor leagues. I don't know. It's a playoff game.
It's playoff game 1, and you have no available arm.
But Fried would go game 2 because he pitched on Friday against the Royals.
Yes.
All right, so you're okay. That's all right. All right, so Matt Rhule said yesterday that Rutgers doesn't allow explosive plays.
I'm glad you seized on this.
So Matt Rhule says some things sometimes, and I know what he's getting at, and what he said right after that was, well, Shiano, that's what they do. They don't allow explosive plays. Rutgers this year has allowed 55 plays of 10 plus yards, 29 of those via the pass. That's good for 58th in the nation. They've also allowed 14 20 plus yard plays, eight of those against the pass as well. Also consider the opponents that they've played this year, of which have been doo-doo, and they haven't played anybody, right? This is not a me tearing Rutgers down segment, but I want you to factor that into the numbers. That has to be a factor. They've played, Josh, name me the Rutgers opponents. Howard,
Akron,
Virginia Tech and Washington.
Correct.
Right? Virginia Tech has a pulse.
Mm-hmm.
Washington probably has a pulse. Washington. The other two, no pulse. They're dead. All right. And so it's not like they're horrible in this explosive plays category. And I don't bring up this segment just to point out the fact that Matt Rhule
lied,
is a liar, but he does sometimes say things to, I think, motivate his team. And we talked about this again last week. Like sometimes he says stuff to his team that he wants them to be aware of and he wants them to be focused on. That's why these press conferences happen. I also bring this up to say this. Nebraska, as a team, is looking a little explosive on offense. Rhule talked about this yesterday. He was asked, well, is there anything that's kind of surprised you? He said, I didn't think we'd be as explosive as we are.
Sort of lull you to sleep and then bam.
And it hasn't been in the run game. It's been in the pass game. Nebraska, 10 plus yard plays, has 77 of them this year. 56 of those 10 plus yard plays have been via the pass. Nebraska in 20 plus yard plays, and 10 is not explosive in the pass game. 20 would count, though, as a chunk play in the pass game. Nebraska of 20 plus yard plays, they have had 23 so far of them this year and 17 of them in the pass game. So once again, this is all centered around young Dylon. It's centered around Dylan Raiola. He is giving them, and I think that's his way of saying like Dylan is like even better than they expected him to be, because what they're saying is, look, we have been explosive in the pass game, and we've also made the right decisions in the pass game. And because of that, that should open up some of the things we do in the run game as well. So, I mean, I think that's another way of saying exactly that. Dylan Raiola has been really, really good this year and probably better than expected, even though he was asked that exact question. He was like, yeah, I just think we've probably been a little bit more explosive. This is an area where Nebraska can make some hay, I think, against Rutgers. I think you could kind of I think there will be parts of this game that will seem, I don't know how people are framing this up. By the way, yes, I do want to talk about this game on a Tuesday. I don't know how people are framing this game up, but maybe you're thinking, oh, these are two teams that, they want to play defense. They're going to drag you into the mud, and it's going to be the fourth quarter. Rutgers doesn't have very good quarterback play, and they have a really good running back, and so let's just drag and drag and drag and drag. And I do think Nebraska can hang around in that game. It'll be interesting to see how they approach it right out of the gate, because I do think, and Rutgers is good against the run. I think you can kind of get going on them in the pass game a little bit. Now, the hard numbers aren't necessarily a great, a great statistic especially around this time of the year, just because, I mean, you never know what kind of offense. It lacks context, right? Rutgers is 98th in the country in rush defense at the moment, giving up 172 yards a game. There's 36th in the country in pass defense, giving up 179 yards a game. But once again, it lacks context with the teams that they've played so far this year. They don't turn you over. They've only gained 5 turnovers on the defensive side of the ball. That ranks 81st in the country. It ranks 13th in the Big Ten. So they are a kind of keep it in front of you defense, which means Nebraska, with their explosiveness on offense, I think can really make some plays. And I'm talking about vertically here in the pass game. Like, I think there's a real area there. So I know Nebraska will try to run the football and establish themselves. And they want to do the thing with Dowdell where he kind of, body shots him early and all that stuff. And then hit him with Emmett Johnson, the kind of closer in the fourth quarter. And they'll still have that kind of working. But I do think if you want to throw a punch right away, you can get him in the pass game. And that'll be it'll be interesting to see how far down Nebraska, Matt Rhule, Marcus Satterfield pushes down in the gas pedal, like right out of the gate, because I think you could throw a big haymaker right out of the way, or you can get drug in the mud with them. Mm-hmm. You could do that too. So once again, I don't know how people are looking at this game, but I do think there's like many avenues to Nebraska not only winning it, but playing a good game on Saturday as well.
Watching the Washington game against Rutgers Friday, I said to myself, yeah, Nebraska could do this, what Washington was doing to Rutgers. I mean, the game's either going to be a rock fight or sort of not a shootout, but a surprisingly offensive game. And
I think I think Rutgers is best served to drag people into the mud with that.
Right. So Nebraska would want the high octane offense game.
Not necessarily, because I think they prefer to play the way that Rutgers kind of wants to play as well.
I think that's how they want to play, but I don't know if that's the best way for them to play.
But the idea is, let's take you deep. Let's take you into the deep water, and let's go into the third and fourth quarter, and then we'll put everything on Dylon's shoulders. We'll put everything on his plate. Frankly, I like it.
The Illinois game plan.
I don't know. They kind of just threw it around in that game.
Yeah. Just trying to see how it's going to go. It's Tuesday. I'm ready.
That's what I think. Like I think there's multiple ways to beat them in this game. Then I was thinking about it yesterday. Because people have problems with Nebraska's run game and what they've.
I do, yes.
By the way, I'm reminded via text right now that the total for this game is 41.
Low.
That is a relatively low number. Yeah. Well, I think Nebraska could go with them. I think they could go over kind of that number. Not by them. Well, maybe by themselves, but that would be quite the accomplishment.
That would be
fun.
What
I'm saying? Like
I'd watch.
So
that.
we'll see which way Nebraska sort of tries to approach it. Now, the other thing I was thinking about, people have problems with Nebraska's run game and they can't run it conventionally, and we have all this consternation about it. But you have a quarterback, and you decided against Purdue that your way of sort of supplementing that conventional run game was going to be with Ja'Cory Barney on these end arounds. And I was thinking about so people like to look at it in simple terms, and they like to say, well, Nebraska can't run the ball, period, because Nebraska doesn't have an offensive line, period. And they don't trust their offensive line, period. Like, we say all these things really definitively about the team. But I was thinking about how teams have been defending them. And anecdotally, I don't know this for sure. And I was trying to find numbers on this, but I just don't know if they're particularly trustworthy. So I was thinking about it just anecdotally, thinking back to the games that they've played and sort of the looks that they've faced. It feels to me that how teams are choosing to defend Nebraska at the moment is to not necessarily load up against the run, but decide we have to stop the run first, and we will take our chances in the secondary look at what Purdue did. Purdue was like, we're not going to let them get anything going in the conventional run game. And then they're going to try and throw it downfield, and we're just going to pass interference them all day long, right?
And Purdue's run defense is terrible.
Soon enough, I think teams are going to kind of figure out, maybe it'll be more of a decision or more of a conversation in those rooms leading into the week. And the conversation goes like, okay, which poison do we want to pick on Nebraska?
Right.
Do we want to let Dylan Raiola just sit back there? Because he had all day to throw on Saturday.
All day.
Do we want to do we want to sit back? Do we want him to sit back there and just let him pick us apart in the pass game? Do we want to keep taking our chances with that? Or like, do we have to defend him a little bit more straight up and then Nebraska gets better in the run game? Like, basically what I was wondering was, has Nebraska been deficient in the conventional run game because of the way that they're being defended? And the answer is a simple, like, yes, because the way that you're defended has an effect on everything. But I want people to keep that in mind when they talk about how Nebraska definitively can't do this and they can't do this and they can't do this.
Okay.
Like, every game is a game, right? Every game is its own thing.
Didn't need to do it today.
Right.
So we did.
So, like, if I'm not a bright young defensive mind, Josh.
I don't know about that.
But
don't sell yourself short.
If it comes down to the question of like, which poison do I want to pick? Frankly, it's not the one where the ball's in Dylan Raiola's hands. He's sitting back there all day, and his receivers can either go down the field and make plays, or the receivers can just like I think that I'd rather bottle that up.
Yeah,
at the moment, but
I'm going to make you run it on.
That has not been the way that Nebraska has been defended so far this year.
Right.
And so I wonder if there's a change in that, or a shift or an adjustment in that going forward. But I do think low key here, Nebraska kind of has a lot of answers on offense, and guess why? It's number 15. It's the guy that looks like Mahomes.
Sure.
That they're chanting, you're not Patrick.
Have you heard? He looks like Patrick.
They got a lot of answers here, man. Like, and I do think their offensive coordinator has been willing to go in his bag a little bit and, take advantage of space. Like, they're pretty. What's the word? They're pretty like proficient, or they're proficient enough, I should say, in just about every area where if teams are making adjustments, hey, we're going to bring the splits up. We're going to bring the splits up the middle. Okay, we'll go screen, and we'll get guys moving in the middle of the field. Oh, okay, they can't set the edge. We'll go end around, like I think they have a lot of answers to everything. And it's really because of their personnel. I mean, their quarterback is a constantly good decision maker, and they have some threats on the edges, and I think they're good enough in the run game. But if there is a deficiency, it's probably at that running back position specifically, and I'm going to make them see if they can make the right decision. That's just me. But I wonder how that looks going forward, and I wonder how Rutgers sort of schemes it up.
Eventually, someone's going to do that, right? Like,
I don't know. I don't know. They're going to sit back in the backfield and just kind of wait and not load the box and see if Nebraska can crease one in the run game, or how soon they figure out they want to do that. Like, I don't know.
I mean, that's what teams were doing against Patrick Mahomes for a long time. Was I dare you to run? I dare you to run it on us.
That's the thing. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about the Chiefs and NFL reaction, overreaction coming up in a second. But like, it's got to the point with them where it doesn't really matter what teams do to them anymore, and it doesn't matter how many guys they lose. they somewhere along the way, the Chiefs found out how to win football games. Right. It's not like, oh, we want to do this and we want to do this and we have to do this to get to this and it has to be to this player at whatever. Like, somewhere along the way, they got really good at winning football games. And I think Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think if Nebraska becomes that type of team, they're not going to win every game. They're not going to win as much as the Chiefs. They're not going to win the Super Bowl of college football, but Marcus Satterfield probably does, he deserves a lot of credit, along with having the best quarterback in the conference and, whatever beyond that. But I'm intrigued to see how that sort of looks going forward. Hayden writes in.
Hi, Hayden.
Hayden says on the text line, I don't have problems with the run game when Emmett Johnson is in. Yeah, well, I have, once again, a bit of an untrained eye. Do I or do I not know ball? I have no idea. But it does appear that Dowdell leaves some things out there. It does appear that now
that's been the discourse this week.
Do you or do you not understand what Rhule was getting to? Yes, this is not to you specifically, Josh, but just to everybody. But Josh, you should respond.
Good. I hate high pressure situations.
Do you or do you not understand what Rhule was trying to say yesterday, where he said, like, basically the question came up with Emma Johnson. Does Emma Johnson deserve more carries? Like, yeah, we want to get Emma Johnson more carries, but we like our situation right now. We like what Dowdell gives us. And then I'm paraphrasing all this, and Emma Johnson can come in the game and give us a change of pace and be the quote unquote closer. Because I know people see Emma Johnson and they say, oh, put him in, give him 25 carries, and he's going to be the same guy and just carry it over to 25 carries instead of 8. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I totally get what Rhule's saying. I totally understand what Rhule's saying, but what he's trying to tell you is the first half is going to be hard. The first half is going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
There's just things that we have to establish to get to where we want to be in the third and the fourth quarter. And I think that's a tough pill for people to swallow. It's a gigantic pill, and it doesn't go down the throat easy.
You got to wait for you got horse tranks on the brain.
You got to throw it back. Just, yep. Yeah.
You got to wait for the knockout punch.
I don't think people like hearing that
No.
because they look at Emma Johnson and they say, oh, that guy's easily the most efficient back that we have. Why not give him 25 carries? He's going to be the same guy, copy and paste it to 25 carries, and he's got 130 yards.
It's different.
It is different. And I believe him when he says, hey, man,
Mm-hmm.
I think Dowdell leaves a lot out there, but at the same time, what he does in the body blows category, I think is a pretty big deal for what they're trying to get established and what they're trying to do in the second half. And you're already proficient in making the right decisions in the passing game. So, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have problems with the run game when Dowdell is in the game, but understand that it's kind of a part of the plan.
The thing you want them to do watching the game is different than the thing Matt Rhule is trying to accomplish.
Yeah, he's playing the long game.
Mm-hmm.
Even in an individual game, he's playing the long game. And that's hard. That's hard because we watch play-by-play and series by series and we say, oh, that was a disaster. It's hard. I totally understand the skepticism from that perspective.
I get where it's coming from.
Nathan in Iowa writes in.
Hi, Nathan in Iowa.
I think it'd be real funny if Rhule's next press conference, he says, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar, I'm not a liar. And then we'd really know he's always listening to the Happer Show. That'd be great. I would love him to do that.
Would love it.
Yeah, that'd be a great deal for us.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll come back. It's time for some NFL reaction, overreaction. Looking
great.
back at the weekend, maybe not much on last night.
What?
Josh, I'm sorry. Your Titans jersey didn't make me think differently about the Titans.
You saw them win for the first time this year, right?
I did.
You saw their coach.
I saw them win against somebody.
Just since we're not going to talk about it, just one take. Give me like 12 seconds.
Go, Josh.
Mike McD always looks stoned out of his gourd on the sideline. We should look into that.
I think he's just that kind of guy. I
yeah.
think he's just like, oh, damn, this sucks. I think he's got some perspective, He's been through some things in his life.
I'd like to not be standing right here, right now.